The Arctic is silent, except for the sound of breathing. A single man stands on the ice, his breath turning into tiny clouds that freeze midair. Around him, the world is nothing but white. But somewhere in that white, a shadow moves, powerful, quiet, and hungry. This is the polar bear hunt, one of the most dangerous traditions left on Earth. And for the people who live here, it's not about sport, it's about survival. In the far reaches of Siberia and the Arctic Circle, there are still communities that live side by side with these predators, the Nenets, the Chukchi, and the Inuit farther west. For centuries, they've learned to share the same frozen world with the largest land carnivore on Earth. Out here, winter lasts most of the year. The sun disappears for months, and food becomes a matter of life or death. And when even the sea is empty, there is one animal that can feed an entire village, the polar bear. But this hunt isn't easy. It begins long before the first tracks appear in the snow. Hunters prepare for weeks, repairing sleds, sharpening harpoons, and feeding their dogs until they're strong enough to pull for days across the ice. They study the wind, the tides, and the movements of seals, because where there are seals, there will be bears. The elders say a true hunter never looks for the bear, he lets the bear find him. The temperature drops to 50 degrees Celsius, the air is still. Then the dogs start to bark, not from fear, but from instinct. On the horizon, a white shape moves against white. It's almost invisible, blending perfectly into the landscape, but the hunters see it. They lower their voices. The bear is massive, half a ton of muscle wrapped in fur thick enough to stop a bullet of wind. They move slowly, spreading out to circle it. Every movement is careful, silent. A polar bear can smell prey from 30 kilometers away and run faster than a horse over short distances. One mistake, one snap of a twig, one misplaced step, and the hunter becomes the hunted. When the moment comes, there is no shouting, no panic, no cruelty. The strike must be fast and precise, a clean harpoon thrust or a rifle shot straight to the heart. The bear falls, and for a moment, everything is still. The silence of the Arctic returns, but the men don't celebrate. They bow their heads. In their tradition, every hunt is followed by a prayer, a thank you to the spirit of the bear, who gave its life so the village could live another winter. Back in the settlement, the entire community gathers. The women prepare the meat, thick red slabs frozen solid before they even touch the ground. The liver is eaten raw, warm, and rich in vitamins that keep them alive in this sunless land. The fat is melted to make oil for lamps and medicine. The hide becomes clothing, boots, or blankets. Even the bones are carved into tools and ornaments. Nothing goes to waste. Inside their tents, lit by seal oil lamps, the hunters tell stories of the old days when polar bears were not enemies, but brothers. They believe that every bear carries the soul of an ancestor, watching to see if humans still remember respect. And that's the paradox of this place. They hunt what they love, and they love what they hunt. In the modern world, most of us only see polar bears in pictures, symbols of a changing climate, victims of melting ice. But for these people, the bear is not just a symbol. It's part of their history, their food, their warmth, their identity. Without it, they would not exist. As the night deepens, the aurora dances over the tents. The hunters sit in silence, chewing frozen meat, the taste of iron and salt lingering on their tongues. Outside, the wind howls like a ghost. Tomorrow, the ice will shift, the sea will rise, and life will begin again. But tonight, they honor the bear, the king of the Arctic, and the one who makes survival possible in a world built of snow. This is not a story of hunters and prey. It's the story of balance between man, nature, and the endless white beyond imagination. This is the Arctic. This is where life and death are separated by a heartbeat. This is amazing food world.